with us now. Coach, connect when you're ready and we will start the questions. Hey, Coach. All right, we'll get going with questions today. Let's start off with Mark Weiser. Mark, do you have a question today?
I had to mute. Hey, Kirby, congratulations.
Thanks.
Um, just kind of, it'll be several weeks before you guys have a game. What will be the schedule for you guys, and the hunger for your team now that they've won an SEC championship, and a lot of people are picking Georgia to do well in this bracket.
Yeah, I don't know what people are picking and don't particularly care. I'm a lot more worried about our schedule and how we'll use this time. And I don't think I need to rush to judgment on that. We just finished less than 24 hours ago, and we're going to look into it, keep talking to people. We had a couple scenarios, a win scenario last night and a lose scenario last night of schedules, but doesn't mean we have to follow it. So we're going to listen to the bodies of the players. We're going to come in and meet as a staff and talk about areas we need to grow in. And right now, let the kids finish final exams. That's probably the most important thing. But there's no set schedule yet per se for us.
All right, next up, we'll go to Anthony Dasher. Anthony.
Yep. Hey, Coach, congrats from me too. How was Kobe Young? Was there a chance he may be able to play in this game coming up?
Anthony, I don't know. I know we went over some injuries today, and his name came up. I think it would be a stretch, and we're so far off. I was not thinking of being able to get him back when the injury occurred in the initial timeline. There has been some optimism with his rehab and his recovery, but it was more for after the initial game if we were able to advance. But again, I don't know. I think we'll find out over the next 20 something days. We'll find a lot more out.
All right, next up, we'll go to Connor Riley. Connor.
Hey Kirby, congrats. Gunner is the only quarterback who started a college football playoff game last year that will be doing so again this year. How valuable was that experience a year ago for him and his development?
Yeah, I think it was huge for him. I think it was really huge for the game, at Tennessee, the game at home. I mean, all the games he played this year, he created value through those experiences. Even the second half of the SEC championship, man. I mean, he played against. Number one, those are huge moments. Those are huge atmospheres, but those were really good defenses at Texas and Notre Dame, those two games, the game in SEC championship and the game at the Sugar Bowl. So they certainly created confidence for him. How much that transitions to this year, I think is way more about the games he's played in this year already.
All right, next up, we'll go to Jordan Hill. Jordan, when you're ready.
Yeah, Kirby, congrats. Today is 10 years ago you were officially introduced at Georgia. What comes to mind when you think about that day and just what have these 10 years meant to you?
What comes to mind thinking about those that day? Nerves, um, just overwhelmed. I felt like I was just, I was trying to prepare for a national championship or I guess a playoff game at the time, and also take on running a program which I had not done, and just overwhelmed with who am I going to hire, what am I going to do, just a lot of nerves in terms of the memories. They're just incredible. It's just hard to believe it's 10 years. All these pictures of my kids are popping up on the timeline, and the aging of myself with the gray hair. I mean, it's just crazy how fast it goes, but yet how slow it goes. And some of it hit last night when I'm pregame and I get 5, 6 Alabama players that are on their staff, or getting to see C.J. Mosley, who I had a great bond with CJ, and I probably hadn't kept in good enough touch with him last night. It's got pretty emotional for me before the game. He comes over, gives me a big hug, and we were really close. He was a guy that kind of won that game against Georgia, and see Clinton Dix on their staff, so many guys, and then the guys coming back on our team, Richard LeCount. It's the memories and the relationships in coaching. It's not the victories, and that hits home for me the older I get.
All right, next up, let's go to Brooks Austin. Brooks, when you're ready.
Yeah, Coach, I'm sure we asked you something similar last year, but how do you go about scouting and advanced scouting two separate opponents, not knowing the outcome of that football game? And did you learn anything from last year's process? I know you said you were texting with a lot of coaches about, those round one losses last year after our bye. That's all I got.
Yeah, we took an approach last year that we're going to prepare for both teams in our advanced scout. We'll do the same thing. We'll treat those teams as equals. We'll have coaches assigned to them. Coordinators will look at both, but we'll split our staff in half, look hard at both teams, dive into their seasons. We'll do a lot of research into ourselves and study other teams in the country that were maybe top in their areas. Red area, third down, 2 minutes, everything, and just try to, steal the inches and try to get better ourselves. That's the way we'll approach that. As far as the practice schedule and how we go about it, not sure on that yet. We're going to work hard on ourselves, but the coaches will work on the opponent. But I don't know how much opponent work we'll do ourselves until we know who it is.
Next up, we'll try Charles Odom. Charles, did you have a question?
You mentioned last night there were some naysayers early in the year about your defense. Can you talk about what you saw in the progress, and it really appeared to gain momentum as the season progressed?
Yeah, I watched a defensive staff that had a lot of confidence in the players. And, I get to sit in meetings with offense and defense, and I listen to the defensive coaches explain to the defensive players that we're going to be really good when we get this right. And you need to trust and believe in the process that we have and get better. And they got better. I mean, they weren't just naysayers at the beginning of the season. There was naysayers throughout the season, and probably with good reason. I mean, we had a couple of defensive games mid-season and later that we didn't play up to our standard, and a lot of that had to do with the team we were playing. But I do think we're getting better, but we have to continue that. Like the last thing you can do is think you've arrived on defense or offense and not grow. That's the key point in this window of opportunity. Who actually separates themselves and does get better?
Next up, we'll try Seth Emerson. Seth, do you have a question?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Allison Mastrangelo, do you have one from WSB? All right, let's move on to Olivia Sayer. Olivia, do you have one?
Yeah, coach, you talked about it a little bit, but talking with the other coaches who have had a layoff, what specifically did you learn last year about that time off?
Um, not. I don't know that I can provide the layoff with any excuse. I think that's what the general public and the people in the outside world want to say that the layoff had to do with it. I think it had something to do with a good football team we played against. I think they played really hard, they played really physical. Everything we thought about that team held to be true. There's not a lot that I would say the layoff had to do with that. We were, young in some areas, inexperienced in some areas, broke down on special teams, lost the middle eight. Those didn't happen because of the layoff. We didn't uh, give up a touchdown and then another touchdown and then a kickoff return for a touchdown right after the second half, start of the second half because of the layoff. So I have a lot of confidence in the history of what we do in these windows. But at the end of the day, we got to execute in the game.
All right, Allison, we'll try you again. Are you ready for your question?
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me now. Cool. Um, what are the chances? I know you're going to have that kind of like the next couple weeks off of getting maybe like a Drew Bobo back, a Colby Young, or any of the other guys that are injured in time for this playoff run?
Yeah, they'll all be on an individual basis. I mean, the hope is to get guys that are injured back and get those guys back available, and we'll see how that goes and where their injuries are.
All right, let's try Jeremy Johnson. Jeremy, you got a question?
Yes. Just because obviously playing, you mentioned a couple times this year that playing in the SEC and playing, how you guys have played has been like a playoff game every week. Just what do you take from those experiences to be able to, play in a playoff type situation? And how much does that kind of prepare your team mentally to be able to handle some of the situations that come up in these tight playoff games?
Well, we've certainly, Jeremy, been in tight ball games this year. I think there's been years that I've gone to the 14 two-game playoff and didn't have a lot of tight games, and you worried about how your team would respond and how those experiences would affect your team in the heat of a moment. That's not the case anymore. We've been in them, but so have most of the teams in the playoff. There's not a team in the playoff that you can say is just not been in a tight game or blown everybody out. I just don't think that's there. Most teams have a loss. Teams that don't have a loss, they've been in some tight ball games. So um, I think that everybody's pretty even in regards to that.
Next up, Graham Coffee. Graham, you have a question?
Yeah, congratulations, Kirby. Looking at all this time you guys have off, you were talking about trying to get better. Is there a specific area or areas that you're looking at, and besides getting healthy, that you guys want to focus on?
Not, I wouldn't say specifically no, Graham. I mean, I want to look at the whole picture, right? And we're going to do a deep dive self scout because we got a little time. And when I say self scout, we're looking at at ourselves, but we're going to look at outside teams and see what might complement us, what might give us an edge in some area. But I can't tell you what that is right now because I hadn't even looked at ourselves.
All right, let's try Luke Hetrick. Luke.
Hey, Kirby, congratulations again. Just wanted to ask, I know you've had a lot on your mind the last 24 hours, but going back to a bowl game where there was a lot that happened on the field, a lot that happened outside of football last year, just how much have you been able to reflect here today and in, the recent days about going back to New Orleans, given what happened last year?
Yeah, I think we knew that would be the option if we won the game, and if we lost, we weren't. I've been to New Orleans a lot of times in my career. That's a blessing. This Sugar Bowl is an incredible event. I've had the great fortune of playing there more than I ever thought I would. I mean, I spent 2 years in the ACC at FSU, and one of those two was in the Sugar Bowl. So I have found my way into this game, going to New Orleans a lot of respect for how much passion there is in this game. This game is not about me or the experiences I had in New Orleans. It's about this team and these players. And this team and these players have done an incredible job of buying into what we're pushing on them as coaches, things we've asked them to do different than last year, and they've done all those things. So I'm looking forward to them going down there, this team, this Georgia Bulldog team, and having an opportunity to play whoever that opponent is, regardless of the circumstances of last year with a lot of stuff going on, outside football.
Got time for two more questions. Connor Riley, did you have another question?
Yeah, I did. Kirby, you talked a lot about the messaging for this season being stopping the run and running the football. And it's obviously this team has taken to that and done a great job with it. When did you know that this was going to be a team that could do both of those things, especially at an improved rate over what you guys were doing last year?
I don't know. I guess the order of the season, sometime after Tennessee. I don't know that we didn't really get tested until the road game at Tennessee, and then as the season evolved and we're playing high level opponents, we were stopping the run pretty well, and
Georgia
we were
football
running the
schedule.
ball. We were running the ball pretty well. So those two games, the SEC schedule is kind of what allowed me to realize we were going to be better. I don't know that I would say we hit our standard or that, those two national championship year standard, but we improved in that area and we needed to improve in that area. And it was big for our team.
And let's wrap up with Jordan Hill. Jordan, did you have a second question?
Yeah, it looked like Chauncey got banged up at the end of that game yesterday. Kirby, just wanted to see how he's doing.
Yeah, he landed on his back on that run he broke out on, and it was not It was fine after the game. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he landed on his back and he was in a great deal of pain. And happened a couple other games in the season when he fell there and landed on it. But he seems to be fine.
Okay, Coach. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we will be sending this audio and video out through the Sugar Bowl here briefly. Thanks.